Hello and welcome to About the House. The act of dumping is when a foreign market exports goods at a lower price than would be charged for the same goods in that exporter's domestic market. Australia's Anti-Dumping Commission is charged with investigating alleged dumping by exporters into Australia, and the House Standing Committee on Agriculture and Industry is conducting an inquiry into the circumvention of these laws by some overseas companies. Ross Hampton is the CEO of the Australian Forest Product Association, and he recently gave evidence at a public hearing on the circumvention of anti-dumping laws. While at Parliament House, I asked Ross how the circumvention of these laws affects the forest product industry.
Well, dumping is a very serious issue for us, and really in a globally exposed economy like Australia's, it's just very, very important that we protect our own industries according to all the rules, and all we need is everyone to play by those rules. And so that means that if something's coming into Australia, it really shouldn't be coming in under the cost of its own production internally in its own country. And our view is that certain industries, certain companies do all sorts of dodgy things to ensure that that happens. And so anti-dumping and the legislation which we're talking about today is all about trying to make sure that that doesn't happen, that industries in Australia get a fair chance. It's a level playing field, if you like, and we compare apples with apples, or in our case, paper with paper or tissue with tissue. Yeah, it's a misapprehension that some folks have, and they confuse anti-dumping sentiment, such as we express, with some sense of trying to put up barriers or fences or walls around Australia, and it's absolutely not that at all. It's in fact, because Australia is such an open economy, we have a completely open face to the world, and we have enormous to and fro trade in all sorts of industries, including forestry and forest industries, all the things we get from trees and fibre, that we have to have strong anti-dumping measures because Australia wants to play by the rules, and all of our industries do, and we don't want to be ever seen to be releasing product in someone else's country below the cost of production in Australia. Well, it only works if it's going both directions. And so we have to have strong laws in Australia to ensure that we are able to give industries in Australia comfort and support to make sure that we stop that when it happens, and we scare off people who want to do it. Certainly it's taking place in Australia and across our industry. We cover folks who produce particle board and panels and sawn timber products, pine for example, that you see houses built out of, and all the paper and tissue products that we use around our homes and in our offices. And we certainly have been seeing in the last, particularly when the dollar was quite high, there was quite a surge of overseas imports coming into Australia, and lots of anecdotal and some proven evidence that that material was being dumped here because they couldn't find markets for it in their own countries or in their traditional export markets. Because when their other export markets went down the gurgler after the GFC, they had to find somewhere to put the product. Well, we've been asking this inquiry to consider recommending a strengthening of our anti-dumping measures in Australia, and particularly for this inquiry, the anti-circumvention measures, because the two things are interlinked, if you like. If companies know that the companies that are doing the wrong thing overseas are going to be able to apply various what they call circumvention measures, that is, ways around the problem, either by saying, no, we didn't make that product here, it was made across the border in some other country, or paying the fines for those who are involved and keeping them in business, or mixing up this particular product with a whole lot of other products and saying, well, I can't possibly tell you which product you're supposed to be looking at. There's all sorts of ways that it can happen. If all that can happen, their members won't even bother taking anti-dumping cases. So what we want is strengthening of the regime. We want more resources for the Anti-Dumping Commissioner. We want to have more deliberate Australian focus, I suppose, on these measures that we've highlighted, so that the onus is put back on the companies that are dumping in Australia. So that they are being told, well, suspicion means that you need to prove that this is the product, that these products are not doing the harm that we think they are.